Well, it's now the 25th of July, Wednesday, and just motoring out past Scott's Head, leaving Dominica behind. And next stop is Martinique. The water here in the lee of the Dominica was quite calm and glassy, and it was interesting to see a band of what looked like big breakers up ahead, and there's probably some kind of a current effect. But it's quite interesting that you can see what looks like a wall of breakers as perhaps the currents unimpeded by the island are sweeping past and breaking then perhaps on this bit of south-going current. Anyway, looks like it should be a nice sailing day, not a very strong wind. I would guess maybe about 15 knots out there. In behind the island it was almost nothing, and very variable. So anyway, on the way, should be at Martinique in perhaps 6 or 7 hours. The flying fish are everywhere. Lots of flying fish today. A fellow traveler on his way north, heading toward Dominica. And now this morning I'm anchored here at Saint-Pierre on the island of Martinique. And Saint-Pierre was rather famous because it had an eruption that put Montserrat's to shame. In 1902, the volcano erupted and killed just about, I think it was 29,933 people. Almost 30,000 people died almost instantaneously when a superheated ball of gas came out of Mount Pelée and down on the town. There were 13 ships in harbor, 12 of them burst instantly into flame and everyone died on them. And the 13th ship was able to limp away with some of the crew still alive. It was really pretty horrible, and those shipwrecks are still there. Under the water, of course, and from 30 to 150 feet of water. And this is the museum. I'm going to go in and take a look. And after taking a look around the museum, we'll do a little tour around the town. A lot of the old structure that was here in 1902 has survived in the form of foundations of other buildings and certain walls and stuff. So it's really fascinating. The only two people in the town who survived was a cobbler and a man named Sipari, who was in the dungeon charged with murder. Those are the only two survivors in a town of 30,000 people. Well, here in town they have a great museum that describes the town before the eruption and the effects of the eruption and the aftermath, although it's all in French. So it's difficult to get all the details, but still quite a fascinating situation here. The town was already 250 years old at the time of the eruption, and it had 30,000 people and only 5,000 today. So you know, a very significant town with large buildings, a large stone theater, and everything. Something along the size that you would find in Paris. So it wasn't an insignificant town, and to have it wiped out basically in a moment is quite fascinating. There's lots of displays inside showing you know, sewing machine, weapons, toys, things like this, and some of them are damaged, and some were just buried. There's a church bell inside which is just crushed. No photography allowed, unfortunately, but crushed from side to side. This huge bronze bell, quite impressive. The prisoner Sipari, who was in the dungeon, they say he survived because of just a little amounts of heat and ash were able to get into the cell at a time. He was badly burned, actually, and afterwards he displayed his burns in the Barnum and Bailey circus. He was found almost by accident. Well, it was by accident. 3 people from his parish were, I don't know if you call it looting or just sifting through the remains, and were in the dungeon area and found him. He had been there in his cell for 4 days and 3 nights without any food, and just able to get a little bit of water which trickled down the wall of his cell. And so they found him, and he was rescued after that. I guess no one expected that anybody had survived. And so that was quite amazing, even though, you know, he had bad burns on his right arm, and there's a photograph of him in there. So fascinating museum. Some of the sites are still available to see, and I'm going to have a little stroll around the town. There was nothing in the museum that would allow me to get any real information, but I have a book that describes a little bit of the town, so we're going to try to find some of these more interesting spots that still exist. There's the ruins of the theater and the prison of Sipari. We'll take a look. You can see, quite grand, and that's all that survives. The theater itself was on top of that entranceway, and there's not much left. We'll go take a look. Tile still here. It's like Roman ruins, almost like Roman ruins. And although I had a little bit of trouble finding it and had to ask somebody, right beside the theater is the prison. So this is where the famous Sipari was found. Somewhere in this jumble. The remains of the theater are right there, just on top of the wall. That's where I was. Looking back in the direction that I came in from, there is no indication I found of, there's no plaques here or anything to say, oh, this is where he was found, or, Here was this portion of the prison. It's just a ruin. There's no guiding anything here. Just some debris left over from modern times. Garbage. Oh, this is just a bit of a panoramic shot here of Saint-Pierre. Mount Pelee in the background there. The bells always give a certain charm to the French ports. Almost every port has a church that rings its bells. Well, with nothing better to do today in Saint-Pierre, I've taken a little walk to the east of the town, up a very mountainous road, where I understand the Distillerie des Pas is. Now there's Mount Pelee in the background, and with the manicured lawns and the overall appearance of the place, I thought this was a golf course or a country club. But this is the Distillerie des Pas. Apparently this water for the rum comes from the Goyave Springs up on Mount Pelee. And it's supposed to be very good, very pure. Now how about this for a chateau? I can't really get any closer because they want you to stay on the trail. Well, this wheel was first put in operation here in 1750, and it was the original motive power for the mills. It's an overshot style of wheel and has the equivalent of 6 horsepower. It was more reliable than a windmill and better than an animal mill. It's now been replaced by a steam engine. Well, the best cane to be used in rum making apparently happens during the dry season. So as I saw in on Marie Galante, the production of rum is more or less wound down at this time of the year. And the heart of the operation here is the steam engine. In the background are the stainless steel looking fermentation pots where the cane juice is held for 48 hours. Fermentation process happens and you get a 5% alcohol wine, which is then loaded into these fermentation pots, still pots. And in them the rum is made up to 55% alcohol. And by the time the rum exits the still pot, it's at 70% alcohol is the maximum. And then it is aged for white rum in stainless steel tanks, gold rum in oak tuns, and for old dark rum in oak barrels. And why a steam engine? Because you can burn the bagasse leftovers from the sugarcane as fuel. So it's a pretty good process using everything. And on the property is this restaurant, Le Moulin à Cannes. Yes, they've made the base of an old windmill into a restaurant. Incredible bit of scenery too. The clacking of the bamboo. When on the menu, I chose tea punch. She brings 2 bottles and a lime and some brown sugar. And she's going to leave me with that. So I had to tell her with my premier pois. And so she made it for me. And it's a little spoon of sugar, lime dribbled on top, and then the straight rum into that. Mix it up, and then you sip that with the water afterwards. So there you go, tea punch. Always something new. Well, without renting a car, we've pretty well exhausted the possibilities here in Saint-Pierre. So I'm going to move on down the coast to a place called Casse-Pilote. Actually, they'll anchor in a bay that's just a little bit to the north of there. So we also bid Mount Pelée a fond farewell and thank the mountain for not exploding on us while we were here. ghosting down the coast. Well, virtually around the corner from Casse-Pilote is the very expansive Bay of Fort-de-France. And we're gonna go to the windward side of the bay to a little place called Anse-des-Toisilets. And that's where you should find some nice calm water beside a golf course in which to anchor. And from there you can take a ferry boat into Fort-de-France, which is just across the bay. Well, it's 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon in Toisilets, and this place has rolled up its sidewalks. I've seen, oh, there's a guy coming out of a building. Not counting the cars, I've actually seen, he's the second person I've seen. I spoke to a woman in French very briefly asking about the ferry to Fort-de-France, and she said that the last one had already left at 1 o'clock, and there won't be another one until Monday. So if I'm going to want to visit that place, I'm going to have to go over by boat. But I won't do that today. Today I'll just take a look around Toisilets here, which shouldn't take too long. And we got some wet weather coming up here. I'm going to have to get under shelter fairly soon. Well, after Anse-des-Toisilets was so terribly abandoned and nothing happening there on a Sunday or even on a Saturday afternoon, I've moved over here on Sunday to Fort-de-France. And this is the largest city in the Windward Islands. But on a Sunday it's pretty dead also. Still, nice to see some buildings. And I was able to go to a McDonald's for some Wi-Fi, so it's working out. The anchorage is actually rather good. There's no rolling at all. And there's a good breeze going across it for the wind generator and for coolness. It's another hot day here in the Caribbean. Well, as you can see, we're not talking small town here. This is quite a large city. Wow, is there anything so abandoned as a city? A city on Sunday in the French West Indies. And so Prince Diamond finds himself here at Fort-de-France, Martinique. And this is Fort Louis, overlooking the bay here. And it seems that it's not open as a historical monument, although a portion of it may be. I have to check that out tomorrow on Monday, but right for now it looks as if it's still being used as a military base, at least part of it anyway, and there's no entry. I certainly don't see any signs talking about hours of operation or anything like that, just a sign that said no entry. Now on a Monday, that's more like it. Well, look what I saw here at the mouth of Grand Anse-d'Alais. Another sad story. Anyway, this will be our last night here in Martinique. I gotta back up because of the rain. The last night in Martinique. We're heading south quickly. There is a tropical depression on its way. Be here by Friday. In the islands by Friday. So we're gonna start heading south. Tomorrow night I'll be in St. Lucia, Rodney Bay. And then the plan is after that perhaps Beaufort next night. And then Quebecois the next day. Making some serious headway south. In a couple of days or so should be south of the usual hurricane track. But we'll see. Right now I'm in the hurricane's headlights. And I want to get out. It is Monday. By Friday expected to be here. By Wednesday I should be in St. Vincent. Well, this is my last overnight in Martinique at La Grande Anse-d'Alais. And I didn't think it was going to be this busy a place, but there are a lot of boats here. Fortunately, it's quite a large area, so it's still possible to get some good spots. Well, the long anticipated event has happened, and there is on the way a low pressure system that may turn into tropical storm or Hurricane Ernesto. It's way over toward Africa, but it's the first thing to develop this year that has a possibility of growth. So it's being in the islands at this time of year is a little bit like standing on a freeway in the middle of the night waiting for a headlight to come. And I've been waiting quite a long time, almost 3 months, and waiting for the hurricane to come. And so far I've been very lucky. It's been unusual how little there has been going on out there, but now there's one on the way. So I leave in the morning. Tomorrow night, if all goes well, I'll be in St. Lucia, Rodney Bay. That's right. And the night after that, hopefully in Beaufort, and then Quebecois after that. So in 3 nights' time, I should be well south of the normal hurricane path, and that would be Wednesday night, I guess, or Thursday night. And the hurricane's not supposed to hit the islands until Friday, so I think it will all work out. We'll see how it works. Of course, every day I'll get updates to see what's going to be happening and try to stay one step ahead.